Namo Yonde de Shamo Radamo Yondobo Sobis Ribo Don Shasu Dembo Devo Shibo Jisen Jimbo Jubo De Kalo Jiwa Nana Nebo Lodo Nino Jitabo Sonye Chode Bejawo Jojo Dobo La Chansi Chodo Jozo Jeo 公子和你所觉当的，所见的那光光的不阿年就天的那就结束的三个光就那相思，难道更就都是光，一些叫做世界那过。大把就天所那愿望，不过就你就那相思。 先觉的我这年到月上，先多找我就老相思，对着见着随我送我的，念着老相思路，公布突厥这点包，当街这边的包，色那一点叫做些，的见些老相思路。 宝贝的唱着我的，远远的送的多，就多的多就就多，现着就来上山路，多年多月老样的，老爸到那上多，先月到我一点点，感觉老样小子路。 给我这样的条件，给我被从所爱，让月是年用所的，天天上天天报应，干嘛让人莫名当，就莫是我这个。 能落到这道路，这些就能得到道。所能的也当接着报应。 过目多年，久久着的的，劳动劳动，切别劳作别，随便做人着完就完就。싫어.
I'll say I've heard. Honor to the son of the lineage trained who wishes to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom. Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva answered the Venerable Charipatiputra with these words. Shariputra, those men and women of the lineage who wish to follow the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look at it like this. The five skandhas should be seen purely in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, and compositional factors of consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness. Having no characteristics, they are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no composition of factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no phenomenon. There is no quality of sight and so on until no quality of mind and no quality of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, and so on until no old age and death, and no exhaustion of old age and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no ending, and no path. no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide by means of the profound perfection of wisdom. And since their minds have no obscurations, they have no fear. Transcending falsity, they attain nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell on the three times have relied upon the perfection of wisdom and have become true and complete Buddhas of unsurpassable, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the profound perfection of wisdom, the mantra of insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for it is not deceptive. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Teata om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and said to the bodhisattva mahasattva, noble Avalokiteshvara, in its own well done, O son of the lineage, it is so. O son of the lineage, since it is just so, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced just as you are taught, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra and noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva Mahasattva, and the entire gathering, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One.
Kanda sepe sura mare me don ge chuzo lozo gyana buche doze yana zhuche yande so yoda je zhuo nye mo nye lo ne je jia zhuo zhe zhe Mare meze donge nyongo chunye chunzi le zhuo dene doje saje doze yunten le zuo jase tuye yoro judan junye dole mis jambe yana de ara masana
So if you look at how the time passes,
the swiftest which passes through is the time. Time is that passes without noticed. So, which actually indicates that the impermanent nature of phenomena. And so, when we think about, I would like to do something next week. The next week just comes like lightning, and this is how the impermanent natures are passing through.
아무도 뒤에서도 저거 저러고요나 다 자기들 가르쳐 버려서라나 아니 맞죠 지 뒤에서 저거나 이게 맞죠 저만 저와지 아니 저와는 준티는 용거 저와 준티는 용바대야 지미 제메지만 용하지 아니 저 렌데스나리 다 저카나니 제스가 와인잖아 저거부터 돼서 뭐 소토와이나 아니 다나마도 센데 대지게 쳐도 갈래 저바나 이게 아니 준은 뭐 지래 대지요 다달라 아니 맞죠게 아니 kabile de sa ani nabile de mebozo ti tandala ani so la te gegen de chitan ma do anti se gene joba te yodo ashiman rona ne krene ta gede ni ne sen bindo ta karu khane ya sare sen so le chwa ta ne gyujo tang go do so now as time is passing so fast, so we have to prepare ourselves right from now to think about by reflecting one's mind upon one's future life. Although the time is passing so fast, but our life will continue from one life to another life. So when we speak about one life to another life, the life that we're going to have in our future life, in the future, is not something that coming into being from nowhere. It is not something that randomly happen, but rather it will have its own causes and conditions, concomitant causes and conditions, depending upon what kind of deeds that one may have committed during one's lifetime. So here, if one engages in positive deeds, which give rise to the positive results. Similarly, if one engages in the negative deeds, which give rise to the negative result. So those two, the deeds that one may have committed will not vanish without giving its fruition. So therefore, one should put an effort to engage in as much as one can to engage in positive deeds and engaging and endeavor in the abandoning of the positive negative deeds, because the deeds is the one, karma in other words, is the one that we will be taking along with us from this life to another life. So therefore, one should encourage oneself and make something, engage in some kind of action that becomes a driving force for giving rise to positive result. 소소 지쇼게네 거라보다 레카치로 때 레칸도 마 레칸도 왜 시그리 맞아 되지 레칸도 세티 소소게 단다지 템비 된다 소리지 근데 추 쇼사로도 추 친이 저사지로나 그 레키 다녀도 게요 말이다 단다지 템비 다녀도 삼반으로 초요네 맞아 가보도 되게 된주기 경로 지죠 마도 아이소나 근데 그 추초선도 가보러 So now here in our day-to-day life, our day-to-day mundane life, when we all have a saying that I'm going to work. While you're going to work, then you always know that you have a purpose of going to work. But when it comes to the going to
practice Dharma. And we're not really sure for what purpose that one is actually practicing. So it is therefore, whenever we begin to engage in the practice of Dharma or receiving the teachings of the Dharma, one should always cultivate unmistaken motivations or intention to engage in the practice of Dharma or receive the teachings of the Dharma.
Mone chana leka jirin sho segura jobo lonshu chesho tsendela mone matsusana de me samba na jiru se ya bo chesana sana tsendela sana de me cha ne jawashi masana de le de ge beje done ne dishin impian ji leka chesa mone tene terin le biso le jire da de choa de yong mo de ne ne ngaso bete tushon ra shegda.
In fact, our practicing of Dharma has the great purposes, unlike the purposes that the purpose of our day-to-day mundane activities. Because this practicing Dharma is the one which enables one to accumulate merits. And when one is able to accumulate merits, then one can build a causes which give rise to the meaningful life of this as well as our future life.
당아서 드려야 차전나기 차전나기를 지서는 주면서 다랑게 된저 나가 되니라 더 투병 볼라 아니 달류도 통면서 변화 레지비 라마나 주권되게 지메 받지 안텔라 제지듯이 이 방향식 자체와 되지 산나도 그러와 지 단다지 또 수법어서는 이제 얘네 소소지 맞서 단다기 라랑이 나는 되는 소리 전화지 메자와지 빠뜨만 지 실로만 되면 전소는 되면 소리지 쟤네.
So now here, let's begin to visualize Buddha Shakyamuni in the space before oneself, who is then surrounded by the great masters of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment of the Lam Rim Chenmo, such as Arjuna, and so on. And now when you are visualizing, one should not think of being oneself in one's bedroom or shrine room, but rather one should have some kind of feeling of being yourself, being open air and surrounded by all other beings.
Pero 소소지 단다 카도야 나오네 지라고이나 야 되는 난가 되니라 쇼사지 요 상인데 대바쳐서 로봇이 되지 아니 파지 로봇 손아 밖에 잔다고 지시에만 당아서 가르치기 임바선데 지 고든다고 지잖아요 와서지 따지 냥도 제사 여비 손도 지지 삼발로 손아 지려나 아니 대대는 와서 되는 것을 보고 추선이 일어나 나르기 친이 제비 대야 된데 대화기 지도 제겐에서 나와이나 뭐네 지 생이 상황도 지 차도서라.
So now with these visualizations, because by visualizing Buddha in the space, which really enables one to have a conviction of one's own faith, because you are knowing that you have an object of faith, your object of faith that you have already visualized. And not only that, you by imagining that you yourself is surrounded by all other sentient beings, then you will think that I am not the only one who is identifying as Buddha as object of one's faith, ultimate object of one's faith. But there are also, along with me, there are also many other beings. In other words, the innumerable beings who are along with me to be able to identify Buddha as my one's own ultimate object of refuge. And if one is able to do this with a special feeling, with the cultivation of special feeling, then our 2 hours of receiving in these teachings will become very purposeful. With this kind of feeling, let's take 2 minutes to meditate. So, with these motivations, the teachings we're receiving here is the teachings that actually unmistaken teachings, which enables one to achieve happiness and enables one to embark on the unmistaken path to the state of happiness. So therefore, one's very purpose of receiving this teaching is to engaging in the practice of what is to be abandoned and what is to be accomplished. The teachings, to remember this, the greatness of the authors given in order to show that teachings has noble souls, one should reflect one's mind upon Buddha Shakyamuni all the way to one's own root teacher. So then, showing the greatness of the teachings in order to engender respect for the teaching is the teachings that we find in this great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment, which teaches us 3 principal aspects of the path, such as renunciations, bodhicitta, and wisdom related emptiness. And this is how the way it actually arranged is that as the way that it's arranged is that we arrange our food on the table that's ready to eat. This is how arrangement is made and find such a comprehensible teachings of the three principal aspects of the path in this great teachings on the stages of the path to enlightenment.
아니 최대 천년 간데 제거서는 다지가 수경로 주비 걸을 내려봐다 기래 아니 당한 속에 아니 가리기 체도 아니 내가 천년 제거서 라인비 걸라 아니 다이 비선제 당지 아니 라니 내가 더 타도기 된데 대화다 가속에 두근이다 다들 두에 당해서 간데 책임이 봤어요 로 카드게 주시는 대로
So then what is the purpose of receiving the teachings and giving the teachings of the Dharma? For what purpose? And for whose purpose is this the Dharma teaching that we are receiving? As we mentioned during our the cultivation of a appropriate motivation to receive the teachings, one's very purpose of receiving this teaching is to benefit innumerable sentient beings. In other words, all entire sentient beings, to establish them to the happiness, or temporary happiness, as well as the ultimate happiness.
다 담방도 되는 맞지 대 주의 발라니 근데 나저 자와 신이 되비치다 니 되는 로치 다시 이제 바니 생일에 나를 좀 좀 뭐지 되지
So then here, with this, and which follows the two main outlines of the great deities on the stages of the path to enlightenment. That is how to relying on the teaching or the teacher, spiritual teacher is the root of the path. And this followed by the next outline by saying how then the students turn their mind towards teachings in which that towards the result the sequence in which the disciples are to be taught the actual instructions.
되지 아마서 된전이 이제 나다가서 맞아 이 다들 해던 러시아는 아주 맞는데 쉬고 사자게만 주주제지의 주제 세계지만서 주제는 해비가라 아니 생대 주제는 쿠더지다 대한 대반적으로 지다 지는 명반적으로 슈청보지 영어 더 배트적으로 빼게 전부 주제 해비가 내가 대체그래 아니 그 주제를 해서나 그 맞지 지여러면 춘도부터 살만听着
So it is vital for all of us when we're participating in the receiving of the teachings of Dhamma for hours or 1 hour or a couple of hours or even 30 minutes. It is establishing irreversible faith to the Dharma is vital, because this is with this kind of faith, one will be able to observe all the teachings. In other words, one will become as submerged within the teachings of the Dharma.
그렇다는 게 뭔가 좀 차던데 지금 막 차로나 차와라네 내님만 손을 맞서 말로 개인이 뒤에서 말로 샤나 차로 봐. 때문에 이게 추되게 거반도부터 가르쳐서나 고아도부터 차보이나 코년에 명호주 조도에 대 추되게 치조로 와. 때문에 또그 다가서 뒤에서 러시아 지구에 맞서 시줄에 대지 샤트를 진짜 도로 맞아와이나 러시아에 당에 님만 찾으잖아 그러 내 말에 Lam Rim Chenmo said the change of those Mare, and Cassage, Cassage, and how much was sent the children could to a jagger. Lam Rim Chenmo de Gitere, or Chichu.
So when we were receiving the teachings of the Dharma, particularly the teachings of this, the great teachings on the stages of the path of enlightenment, the Lam Rim Chenmo, it's not something that we need to rush to finish these teachings. Because if we rush to finish these teachings, or more concern of completing the teachings, I can do it by reading this for a couple of days. However, this is not the purpose of our teachings here. Because here now, just like the leathers, if you want to make some kind of product out of leathers, the leather must be softened. Because just by getting the leather from the store, the raw metal leather, it's very hard, so you cannot make any product out of it. So we need to do whatever method or skill that is needed for the leather to be softened by using, all kind of chemicals and so on and so forth. In the same manners, our mind is something that is so hardened by our negative thoughts and emotions. So in order to soften one's mind, we really need to take our time and receive the teachings, particularly the way of receiving the teachings of the Dharma, teachings of this Lam Rim Chenmo, is based on practicing and making sure that teaching that you are receiving is observing within one's stream of being.
Maso Bena Dawachila, Maso Chini, Song Ravayana, Shiravayana, Telechila, Lani Shagon, Rotugayana, go to set tennis to grow. Near Sachima Radaton, so mean on the Tibeton, the Chingrojana, and the entire Lani Shagon, the Sachigon, and the Wayana, the Metseti Cochero.
So it's a very fortunate that while receiving this teachings of the Lam Rim Chenmo, if one is able to not only just receiving the teachings, but also meditate immediately as soon as the details of the visualizations arising in one's mind. Because we are receiving the teachings, we're gathering together to receive the teachings of Lam Rim Chenmo 3 times or 4 times, or sometimes 2 times a month. But during that time, one is actually taking this opportunity to meditate whatever the teachings that we may have received, which is very fortunate.
Tangi sachi dinda, tena lo cheta jangi mani, tena nipo libi shukua, nipo cheta libi tsini, nipo cheta libi tsila ni, lanchi na jangi bati, nipo linsi ngochi, nipo linsi ngola song, jibu chunga de timo ya lanchi rimani, jibu jenda timo, jibu chenpi lanchi rimani, nyausa ni tsiye, tongpa ni jisa. Ta jibu chenpi lanchi rimani, nyausa ni zila song, teche lan jibu ko senche kona tenpa, sende cheta jibu senche na shoba lo tsiye, ta tongpa ni jisa. Ta senche na shoba lo zila song, senche na loba logo bi jinsen loba rewa le loba sanje munduba temba loba loba rimba ni sheba achi ta tongba ni ritsa ta loba loba rimba ni sheba la ni teba chumba chola la da cheba to doje teba la tse tongba la song shangsen loba lhande jang jane jase da ba so zone cheta le bi tsue ji ta tongba ni ritsa ta zone cheta be le bi tsela ni kala lobe je tel habande tel lobe rimba achi ta tel lobe tongba ni ritsa ta tel lobe rimba la ni sheba chola la da cheba da pa je tamanya la lo tse ji ta tongba ritsa 다 파신 도만이 로질라 주 신내도 하동 편시바 대니 띵엔지 근제 디제제 된바 신내도 하동 유모 대니가 강급이 전 레테 강급이 전세 는 고랭에 바 소슬로 지지 다 동부 소슬로 지라니 신내로 질 하동로 지 다 동부제자 다 하동로 지레 하동이 조된바 하동이 로도 야와 하동 강비 지 강비 하동 주비 제지 다 동부라 손레 장대당에 대제 소라 뭐송아 텔루주고 만디비스 아니 텔라테나 또마지 따와지나 제세지 따포마니지 tamani de jisachi ene ta ton sombala ni te khona ni la ju be ba ta te khona ni la ju ba mo te khona ni je te la be mo ji te la tombo jisa ta tombo la ga ja mo zo wa ene review ga ja mo zo wa ene te tharang ka ge lo she ba ene ga ja lo she ba ji ene te la te ne ta wa ji la che se ta tombo la ga ja mo zo wa ta la ene ga ja mo zo go be ji se ga ja mo ma ze be shi jen lu ga ba 다 맞춰 가요 그래서는 아니 파신 줄라 상주기 생제네 파신 줄라 파신 줄이 타마 아니 땡에 신내라 신내라 차네 아니 돈이를 제바제게 돈이도 비셔라 돈이도 하도 질을 제치 간다래 사직 뭐지 때는도
So now we are on the chapter of this teachings, the great teachings on the stages of path enlightenment. We have gone through the discussions on the discussions on how to cultivate bodhicitta, followed by how to practice 6 perfections, and how to practice 6 perfections. And out of the 6 perfections, we have completed the 5th perfection, which is the perfection of concentration. And at this point, we are on the discussions of the last perfection, which is the perfection of wisdom. So when it comes to the discussions on the perfection of wisdom, and there's a importance of analysis and how going through the process of analysis, and on the basis of this analysis, how one can establish special insight, which is Lakdong.
되죠. 달라도 가서 가장 먼저 그래 했어야 돼. 네 가장 양 맞아 비신로 가 봤을 때 아니 조탐방와 시기에는 따오는 간주적으로 해야 돼. 먼저 하통세 돼 조율을 제바지 싫어 있잖아. 시와 인자데 아니 따와 되게 조탐방와 되게 따와긴 주시 가르래. 용무빈의 제가 가르래. 네 다다 거스 봐봐. 엄마 타지기 따와데 간주절에 내가 그랬잖아. 아니 주자도 되래. 얘는 좀 마치지로도 좀 마치지 고도 말.
So we're on the identification of object of negation, what is to be negated, in order to gain insight into the nature of emptiness. And so here, therefore, this is the process of establishing special insight within oneself. When we talk about the special insight is the one that analyzes how things really are, what is the actual mode of existence of things and event, and with going through a critical analysis of actual mode of existence of things and event is the one that becomes a very critical factor for giving rise to special insight.
당연히 로긴다. 가서 가지 제야 제야 센터에 세대 로. 네. 네, 오는 다지 된다. 타타트는 다지. 어이, 다지죠도. 어때 다 통도도 어때대. 아이, 될 어때다. 제야 그 파시 치료되도. 되지. 당연히 로긴 제야 센터에 뒤차려래와 온 시지 많이 때 maintenant il cherche pas tant du moyen du ban du moyen de geste mais bien dawa ni sen nawa jeno she mai lendo dogen bawa le masa bi di charam bashi ambi yu min ba du nan juba yin la chi juba yin la she se son ne shi min le de ke de ji bi di charam dupa so. Mara shos xie ne, tene jo ma yin te, zesu me be xie xia yu tenci ma wang. Xie na ne tenci xien la ma drupa ni yin te. Kaan de ta ri ji bi, chara jo ngon xien ta xien chi, de la pen ta bi jo wa dang den be, yu te yu ngon yan la tu xien ne du chara de ba na yu namba chen chi lon jo wa yin te. Rijibi de chara sapa nile pumbala soban zesu da jan de de chara jeno kange she chara jang zeje dibi dani yimbe mare dani yimbe de ze ni de ba tan dibi dani de pumbala soban ze ni yide bashine majuba ni to se she de chara mege ban da
Lots of
de chara yang sa tatuba yang xeba nangwe cha de chame meje de xedo de yishira ambi xeba xanage tuju ma xeba nangji ma leba ma chuba xeje tanya don dode ba tumbi meje xeba yeno waso juba ram jungje le so.
We're on the last paragraph of the page 70. Reading to the furthermore. The furthermore, that Chittamatra say that individual minute particles are not the object of the sensory consciousness because they do not appear to them. An aggregation of many minutes particles is also not an object of the sensory consciousness because it does not substantially exist. They say that this is like the appearance of two moons. In answering the first proposition, Baba Viveka's place of reasons, Tharkajavala says, if you are proving that the minute particles alone not in a composite, it's not an object of sensory consciousness, then you are proving that which is already established. As an answer to the later position, he says, are you claiming that an aggregation of minute particles of one type in one place is not the cause of sensory consciousness, giving us your reasons? Because such aggregations do not substantially exist. If you are, then I simply do not accept your reason. Why? It is as follows. Various minute particles of the single type coalesce and contribute to the aggregations, thus constituting the parts of an object. From this, there arises a mind to which an image appears. The image of an aggregation of minute particles. We hold that like a minute particles, host and such are also substantially existence, for they are composite of minute particles of the single type. It is the nature of minute particles to be an aggregation of its substances. You explicitly assert that it is substantially existence. Likewise, therefore, hosts and such which have nature of being aggregations are also substantial existence. A non-aggregate singularity does not exist. Thus, it appears that we assert that each of these minute particles, a composite, is a cause of sensory consciousness and is a substantial existence. Since he evidently asserts that each of these, the ultimate of minute particles, if implicitly accept the partless particles are the perceptual condition for the arising of sensory consciousness. Therefore, Baba Viveka asserts that sensory consciousness are non-mistaken if they are affected by neither the internal nor the external cause of errors explained earlier. At the conventional level, he agrees with the Sudantika in these assertions about the perceptual condition for the arising of a consciousness. Last room.
되게 되나 가잖아. 내가 무슨 대로 내가 주기를 타투 받으라. 아니 대체 참았어요. 시바이를 타투가 돼. 아니 뒤치 차 계시요리. 아니 산다면 뒤치 쇼지 참에다 시바 뒤치 참에서야 돼. 타투가 질은 되고 알아. 저는 좋다 있잖아.
So here the Chitta Matrans accepts the subtlemost matter or the form is said to be the particles. And the subtlemost consciousness is said to be the timeless.
다 드리 계시셔야 될 거라 데려와 단다 계시셔나 든트 신의 차와의 암비게 유 말에서 나와대 아니 든트에 아니 배나 가서 든트 세서나 가슴 차나요 가서 라로라 중화시든 중주시게 맞송에 아니 주지 용시야 거야 말와 대체데 진 중화를 지 마시다고 질처럼 암비 유 많이 발라게 나네 아니 제 담바레 때문에 아니 소바야 제마에서 치란 되게 말에 배는 남바로 지야 리치도 뭐뭐 되서나 공발로 소바 용거로 와서 그걸 받지는 적
So here it's that we all we began this the readings of this chapter or the paragraphs by saying that it's a Chitta Matran's standpoint by saying that the Chitta Matran said that individual minute particles are not object of sensory consciousness because they do not appear to them. This is what the Chitta Matran is accepted because it is too subtle, so that it cannot be the object of sensory consciousness because it is being so subtle, it cannot appear to our sense consciousness. However, from one's own standpoint, according to Madhyamaka, regardless of how subtle they may be, the particles and molecules and so on and so forth, regardless of how subtle they may be, they still belongs to the category of form or the matter. So long as they belongs to the category of form or matter, they are composite or they're actually the aggregation of the four elements.
되지 엄마 탄저서는 랑루라 간제 든트 가슴가 가세 차나요 제디마도 데츠 가사단 중화된 중직이 맞소기지 가슴가 가세 엄비 유트 점도 단다 장식이 반 가슴가 가세 시다 따토나요 되는 중화된 중직이 만든 게 아니 주제 지세고라 다간지 주제 지고 말해서 지지 네 당어도 그 주티코는 온게 세고로 왔다 시바 되지 참여를 렌트쇼지 참여세요 이 온비 유튜브만 당어서 변의 장시마도는 온비 유튜브 주면 되게 되서기 아니 지지기 때문에 자연비 거라 아니 내 샤쇼에서 저도디 호쇼에서 저인데 노쇼는 배드 문제면 되게 신의 차이 렌트도 지기 도노로 렌트쇼지 참여세는 문제 제어레스 아니 엄마 탄지 계셔서나 차대 참여생의 쇼기 참여다 뒤지 참여 계좌 말에 그 로이 가사 땡대긴 조상지 찾는 저게죠.
So these partless particles and also the directionless particles are actually accepted by the other philosophical tenets. However, when it comes to the Madhyamaka Prasangikas, this is not how the Madhyamaka Prasangikas are accepted. Whether the form that are very subtle or gross, regardless of the subtleness of this particles and the matters, they'll still be able to they're still the way they exist, that they not exist partlessly or and they're not partless particles. Those particles still has a parts. It is due to the combination of the parts that becomes the particles. And so there's no such things that exist independent of itself without depending on any parts and components. So therefore, Madhyamaka is that regardless of how subtle they may be, they're still are dependently designated. They're still dependently originated. So therefore, they're all they are not something that is. There's no such that exists. So-called partless particles.
this Tanda this Nason, Jitsenri to Sikola Shio de Dudang, any do you charp say this is called Mashu, Shizal lower Segda. This is Tanda, Zotis in the Shio Bicola, the one over to so and the Tanda dig it, not dere. Zotus Mocha de Dosen Kishora.
So the scientists can find in many different particles, the subtlemost particles, through their research and critical analysis. In the same manner that we will also be able to find those explanations of the particles and the subtlemost particles in the Abhidharma, which is the Abhidharma is mainly based on the philosophical tenets, in accordance with the philosophical tenets of the Vaibhashika, philosophical tenets of Sutantika and Chittamatra.
Then Jitan Chanji, Keshavicola, Tattoo Mandogora, Yachabicola, Tattoo the Cibicola, Shin the Tray, Dimbicola, Malian. Gina, the Chanji Keshavicola, the years and other than Zodia, which is Shigman, Song the John Song.
So therefore, in the Abhidharma Kosha, though I myself am not very expert in Abhidharma, His Holiness is always mentioning the evolution and the dissolution of the world, and how the world is actually evolved by by development and coalescing of these particles and becoming a gross, so that can be that can be in a manifested form. And similarly, when it goes through the dissolutions, it dissolves, and then all the way to the particles and so on.
Kachi do deba nanji lu ganshi ten tamba mawa teni uma ba nanji kenzo tendo da she mawa ganyi ba tene uma bi ten ju ju te kona ni uma ba mi she ba kona mawa yino she shawa she ba shawa yang ganda chita de mawa nanji gan ten tamba mawa de uma ba nanji kenzo de yino nyang de senba te da chang tenje teni yonsu mashibe kwana de detan jeten len de bi chö na jeten bi chö da somba meri bi she de lu de ne timo mayin ba wo she keba na ji ngen ba sha wo she somba da sa nge jung chi ra so she somba da ji she somba da do de be de tu ta timo mayin ba ta bi zonzi chamare ale zonzi chame so tanya dong me she do jeja bin de ba le chang so.
Let's read through the text, continue to reading through the text. Chandrakritya's explanation of the middle way commentary says, some say that the middle Madhyamaka accept in conventional term exactly what the Sutantrika advocate ultimately. You should understand that those who say this speak out of sheer ignorance of the reality explained in the Nagarjuna's fundamental deities. Also, there are those who think that the Madhyamakas accept in conventional terms what the Vaibhashikas advocate ultimately. Those who think those who think this understand nothing at all of the reality such set forth in the fundamental deities, for supermental teachings cannot be linked with the worldly teachings in this manner. The learned should know that our system is unique. Thus, it does not accept even conventionally the partless subjects and subjects and objects that are posited by the distinctive tenets of these schools.
是这个对吧？还是这个下一把？
那我老大人
保证下课，干嘛去？
10 minutes break.
老人们有人们不着的老年人的节目的，放着许多名的表演，那个闹闹像闹车包上，一当不如人，明着老王那样保养，哎呀，那咱就赶紧录一点事。 do deba da cheta mo to sa ne ta ta deba sing de man do deba yi ta ta deba sing de o ma tan jo lo la ta ta deba cha gre es ke che te re ni ba de la ne cheta mo yi ta ta deba se de o ma be lo la kin zo deba re es ke che ta ta de je da to so be cha bo che da ko mi.
So the earlier discussions that we had was that to summarize this, our discussions is that what is accepted as the ultimate by the Sutantika is this be the ultimate which is accepted by the Madhyamaka? This is the the questions. And then what is the ultimate thing that is accepted by the Vaivashika? Is it accepted as a conventional phenomena by Madhyamakas? So those are quite complex, discussions. It may not be quite comprehensive for those of you who have not really familiar with the different acceptance of the different philosophical tenets.
Do deba sing de yi ta ta deba sing de mo bo le ji ji chen la je ba ji la ta ta deba se gre es o ma tan je la ta ta deba sing de tu ni cha mo ra go de bet na sa ju za re es ja da ka du.
So now the difference is here. When the Sutantika accepts ultimate, so their ultimate truth refers to all the functional things, whereas Madhyamaka Prasangika's acceptance of the ultimate truth is which refers to the emptiness, which is ultimate truth of reality. So therefore, these two are incomparable at all. They're completely different. Although it has the same term by saying ultimate truth, but when it comes to the actual meaning of the ultimate truth, it's completely different.
Senaloda. Tombo ta jendo do deba de chera mo se kanga yi ti jinga de deba ni ke che she de ko kezo deba ri yosu to ba de la tabal ko ne de dan deba ri yosu to ba de ngobol ko bre la da. Ji taba de ngobo ni ke che ma to tanang o ma tanjo yi de ni ke che de jo to tu ma.
So here the difference is that when it comes to the lower schools of Buddhist philosophy, such as Vaibhashika and Sutantika. So when they talk about two truths, they're talking about the only impermanent and permanent phenomena, impermanent and permanent phenomena. They're not talking about conventional truth and ultimate truth as it's mentioned in the Madhyamaka Prasangika or the Madhyamaka.
The Chila Aleta Rich, the Shiva Chayongi, the Jutai Shatanchi. And it's a Juta Gana Rande Segura, Kajendo de Vachirama Kanye Sona, Shiba Yanare, Zu Chayana, Yosu the Chacha Kaliago, Chami Zawani Kaliamani. The Shiba Tuji Chameda, and Zu 쇼지 참여 생에대 양 주티 토는 요걸 마도 지용이 차는 참여 캐는 거 말이지 저는 차제 미쳤어요. 그다 뭐
그도마 관계 애름지.
주다만 가에는 차제 캐는 제대로야 또그 차차서 먹어 여러.
So, in general, just all those four philosophical tenets in general, all those philosophical tenets are not actually, they do not assert the partless phenomena.
데버트다기 조타 티모 많이 배 답이 좀지지 차소 타녀도에 미제的 送到 참여 타녀的 시험만 단지지 네 지자변 저발래지 다도 지마지 시험만 로네야 저 지다바다랑 랑기 대반나지 제지 디차르 켈람바 메리소 시 디차 디차미 켈만나바 송소지 대바니지 당던 대바 오마베 균조의 켈레메네지 켈만레메네 빠네 나라자 켈만레 빠네지 참여라 소비 ngobo 샤이 데니지 덴바 강도 베 나르 강도 오마베 균조의 켈만람바 덴바 미데 조달라 소바 데다 덴당 말에 대한바 되장 오마페 근조된 데바 예노 이제빈 데바 레장 아지 인조
So, let's read through the commentary here, the text, all right? Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 stanza says, it is not right for Buddhist schools to assert substantial existence, minute partless as do the Vaibhashikas. Thus, he says that he does not assert partless particles. Chandrakirti is referring to things such as partless particles when he says that the Madhyamaka do not assert in conventional terms what the two schools, Vaibhashika and Sutantika, assert ultimately. It does not mean that the Madhyamaka rejects even conventionally. Everything those two assert as true, for while Vaibhashika and Sutantika assert the things like forms and sounds are true. Madhyamaka do accept the mere existence of this conventionally. So.
되지. 대니지 대바 강도바 대야 엄마 타제 캐면에 비쳐봐야 말아. 배나 bomba다고데 엄마 타제와예. 아니 근조 대만도 그래. 아니 좋다마니 엄마도 쓰게 자다 대만도 그래스. 대니지 강도바데 근조도 캐면에 비 엄마 타제에 쳐봐야 말이스. 지으면 되겠데 말이스.
Yes. bomba다고데 안다.
근조도 캐려고
도면이 kelling 거죠.
덴바 페네 제다마다 데니게 덴바 인생에 강이 바데 엄마 타제 근조도 캐면에 말이스.
알아서. Okay. So, whatever that is accepted by the lower schools of thoughts does not reject the Madhyamaka when it comes to such as when it comes to the West. Although the West is accepted, the West is accepted as a one of the truth, right? By the Madhyamaka, when it comes to the lower two schools, they accept as a ultimate truth, ultimate phenomena. However, it does now. The Madhyamaka is not accepting the West as ultimate truth, but they do accept this as a conventional phenomena.
근데 이거는 제가 그때 가르치는 로그를 손한테 지어로. 근데 가르치는 로그를 해서나 아니 맞아 가장 뭐 만지도 그걸 루자랑지 제가 말해. 근데 좋다 뭐 됐다 되게 타투기 가자 됐다 되라고 하래. 아니 타투기 가자 됐다 돼 말해서는 돈이 저거를 해라다 단다가서.
One may wonder why we are going through all kind of complex explanations of other schools of thoughts here. So the reason why we're going through this is like it is a part of identification of object of negations, but without identification of object of negations, and which is not but then it's not possible for us to really to understand how things really are and what is the ultimate truth and what is the conventional truths.
Jabin Rebale Janj. On be de Chara so be Gauji, Rene on Shiji, Jun Deba, Kake, Emar Kachi, Sa. On Bonaja de Chara than Deni, the Jet Mandube, Denila Dene Taba, Nan Shiji, Denila Asa. Deja the Yu Nan Jang, Dene Tabi Tayu, on Shiji Yu to Song Chin. Sheba na ngosu to taba da yu na ngosu taba da yu na ngosu tseni ba shebe lobe de da lobe le de ni je shiro de sheba da ya ambi yu to yu na ji jo tsi men da wa ngo na on she le rang ge tseni la tsema yin bang go bi gao su namba yin de ne bi ngobo la namba yin de na yi shiro xie song be ambi sheba la zu da la so be zu da so rang ge tseni ji tu ba na da je rang ge tseni tanye de me be na lo ben de tanye de yang de da le tu ba sheba zen no so jian cang ji jia so
Also, the commentary on the foreign senses, Chanakirti refutes the assertions that each minute particles within the collection of minute particles is a sensory faculty. Sensory faculty is a cause of sensory consciousness. He argues that the sensory faculties are not established either as being just those minute particles or as being something other than them. Thus, the basis of the sensory consciousness are sensory faculties that are ascribed in dependence upon those minute particles. Likewise, in the case of object, he says that the object of sensory consciousness exists as construct that are contingently constructed. He also asserts that the consciousness is designated as the direct in the sense of perceiving, but the object of consciousness actually what is direct that is directly before consciousness. Therefore, although the Master Chandrakriti and the Bhava Viveka, the Master Bhava Viveka, are alike in accepting external object, they seem to differ in how they posit the sensory faculties and their objects. So earlier, while refuting that the sensory consciousness are valid with regard to intrinsic character, Chandrakriti's commentary on the foreign senses said that the object of sensory consciousness is deceptive because it exists in one way but appears in another. Thus, things like forms and sounds appears to sensory consciousness as though they existed by way of their own intrinsic character, but the intrinsic character that appears to them does not exist even conventionally.
do pegi kesha ke gamati kesha karishi orsana bena ombi ngazu zuri je ombi yute che be kola 초반도 예비는 가 디레레와서 차시 레레와데 엄비 주인바데 가그레마도 그런 엄비 초반에 엄비 주인바 가그마네 베나 미게 엄보도 이제 주 통고야나 아니 미게 엄셰데 줄 때네 주기 미제 셔발 때네 저거로 아시데 디지지 아니 니바데 슈로데도 알레 tombo테치소다 만에 대인바 베나 다지 가나 가르데 가르가고서나 소 베나 디 the tree Soban Yobi, and Charlie Rawade, on be joined by Kagre Mado, and Dick Chin Kron on be joined by Kagamari, Karasana, on but the dig Tomala, did the magician on hit the check, yes, it.
So that earlier that we talked about, although that each and every minute particles are refuted as the actual cause of the sense faculties. However, it is the minute particle itself is not refuted as a cause of sense faculties.
Shuru Tento Truba Yomari Sangi de Uma Sensa Bakiche. And the Shuru Tento Truba Meba Karsana, Shipa de Yutonga de, and Shipa Konogi Pachachi, Yuju Zui Mon Rone, Shipa de Mon Jebers, and Nechi Minga said, Himaya Jono Sensa Bilinji Minga Shipa Katu de, Ding it Siri by the shooting the San Paruchi, did you go Colon Ronin the Chiso Chinan Paruchi? Shuru Tento Truba singing.
So here now,
Yomari saying that should return to Yomari said, Shipate, and the sense said, Shipi Pacha, Kayanwaji, Suju Molan Rone, so the mother, and Shiro Yichi to Kamba the Yomari said, which in the sense of a year, to my Barichedwa.
so now it's a very exclusive acceptance of the Chittamatrans that phenomena that does not exist externally. There's no external phenomena. Everything that existed is by the imprints of one's consciousness, it says, and mere things that exist are internal existence, what they call, and there's no such external existence. There's no such external existence, such as form, sound, and so forth, are internal existence. It is a mere existence by the imprints of consciousness. So therefore, it's quite profound way of accepting anyway. And this has His Holiness took quite some time to discuss. It took some time to discuss with the scientists, and based on Chittamatan's standpoint of non-existence of external phenomena.
Any scenario Sanje Chang to Chibare, Lede Jada, Shiro to the Trubandaya, any Ombu Yilan Josila Mandawa Town City. Chidam Tanju, Shiro to the Tuba City, Zukura Tanya to Yotsilejan, and Sanatas Kimendua. Yenaya, Ombu Yilan Josedi, Mandawa Chivakaras and Oma Tanju again, Zuk Tombi, Misha Kono Sema Yenaya, Trushin Gonzicha, Oma Lede to City, Zutombi Semayena, and Matu Shivaji Kenya. Pena Lobende the Nany Shura tended to a Kenya but Dagres la Yudi, and Oma Tanjo Shura tended to a city, and Tanya to Yitzaji, Shura tended city. Zoo. Mida Icheva career sazona, Uma Tanjo Zoo Tombi Ombi Mishitsama de Tushiri Ela was. And Lobele de Jay Samayana Matuba in the Charles Timidachiba.
Although that Viveka and Chandrakritis, one is Madhyamaka Prasangikas, who is who belongs to the Madhyamaka Prasangika, and other is who belongs to the Madhyamaka Srotantika. Although they both accept the external phenomena, the way they accept the external phenomena is differ here again. Here, Madhyamaka Prasangikas, that all these external phenomena that exist conventionally, they exist mere conventionally, in other words. Whereas some Bhava-Vivekas, they're not saying they're mere convention, they exist, conventionally exist. It conventionally exists. So therefore, Madhyamaka Prasangika accepts that although that your once the ordinary sense consciousness such as eye consciousness perceiving form is said to be a mystical consciousness, whereas Baba Viveka, the eye consciousness perceiving form, is unmistaken and valid consciousness. So that's a difference in the accepting, although they both accept as external phenomena, but the way in which they accept, the way in which they, when it comes to the actual meaning of the external phenomena, that differs a lot.
데 타마타마들도 로벤데 타니에도요. 데다 추고 시바 이제노 얼마를 예노 세데 아니 단단가 속에 조제 미셰 참아데 추셰레 라고 당한테 타지 통만 비치체레 추셰에 바데 주가보 이비찰라 추바 마레스 주 데마투바 나이 찰라 추셰 엄마 타지요는 추셰에나 참아 많이 거 마레스 참아세데 말로아마도 다 엄마 타지요 면셔도서 아니 참아에나 맞추기 시바 이비 차그레스데 뒤중어서 셰그에 지치
이게 만체리아 테마를
탄저 면셔라 참아에나 추셰 많이 거 엄마 탄저를 참아에나 추셰 많이 비 차바메 베나 존주미 셰 참아데 추셰레 참아레
So, Madhyamaka Prasangikas, even though that's the valid cognitions, such as eye consciousness perceiving form, is said to be the mistaken consciousness, because it is mistaken, although it is not mistaken towards with regard to it's a perception of the form, but it's mistaken with regard to the existence of the true existence of the form. So therefore, eye consciousness is said to be the mistaken. Whereas the Madhyamaka Swatantika and below, they accept it. So long as the consciousness is a valid consciousness or the valid consciousness, then it is free from mistaken consciousness. It's not a mistaken consciousness.
예, 내가 로츠 장이 선나도에 제소가 저기 줌이 참마데 참마이 얘나 코트시 간에는 차그래서 나나 아니 주연지 통화이라요.
So from one's own side, according as followers of the Madhyamaka Prasangika, why we accept one's eye consciousness perceiving form is said to be the mistaken, that we got that we actually able to know why it is called mistaken, right?
대단한 ambitious 타니도 주저소 주저라 소비나 남반조비 세마 메테바 메데는 대나 추반조비 젠세 나왔다지 랑게 체니지 주가 되메바네 장신 유미 주비 지비 셰베 주바 인체 타니비 체메 때민주베 타니비 셰발라 되데 chupa ma yin no aji dawa ni nawa da zonya la soba no yi sheba ne nawa da de dawa ni da shejen la soba meba tani bi tsema ni ji ripi sheba la re tani ri tsema ni ji ripi sheba la de me de jube na de da dang ma na la yang da ba da lobi gyunzo jen na ya 말에 너의 양 태바이노 게테 리비 셰바다 타니비 사마라 때네 추바 도비 셰바 유드 추장 시신라 소바 너의 되메바다 장기 체니데 너의 되양 메라 장기 체니데 돈비 주소 여바다 시신라 소바 소베 돈비 주니라 소바 양 여도 이시르 되다 타니비 로랑가와라 되네 시진 로마로기 체바메도 에메도 냐나 와나 랑게 체니지 주비 모다 치 시제도 나와 따지 되니까 타니도 메반자라 주소당 조냐라 소니까 타니도 여반자라 녀만자라 junjel레 소 차트는 로는 거사 말이야.
Says therefore, the Chandrakirti asserts that sensory consciousness are mistaken even conventionally. Still, it is not impossible for the sensory consciousness to be valid cognitions. So it's clearly stated here that possess objects such as form, sounds, and so forth conventionally. The reason why those sensory consciousness are posited as mistaken is that there's no object that exists by way of intrinsic character such as appears to them. The non-existence of the subject and object is established by reasoning consciousness analyzing whether things exist intrinsically. It is not at all established by the conventional valid cognitions. Therefore, in terms of conventional consciousness, they are not mistaken. As for the conventional, as for consciousness, that perceive things such as double moon or the reflections, objects such as those which appears to them, two moons, reflected face, and the like, do not exist. This is established by conventional valid cognition itself without relying on the reasoning consciousness. Thus, it is appropriate that this wrong sensory consciousness and the five valid sensory consciousness and correct conventional consciousness come. We allow that it makes a difference between the consciousness is known as mistaken independence in dependence upon a reasoning consciousness or the conventional valid cognitions. However, just as so-called the referent of the perception of anything as having intrinsic character does not exist, just as the form and such which are empty of intrinsic character do exist, so also a reflected that is empty of being face exists. For these reasons, one cannot differentiate those perceptions in terms of their accuracy, even in relation to the ordinary conventional awareness. Right. Indeed, something that exists by way of its intrinsic character and an object in the reflections that exists in accordance with its appearance as a face are like it's not existing convention. Also, form and reflections are alike in existing conventionally. However, the Chandrakirti's explanation of the middle way commentary says.
오마 탄제의 룰라 네 양다 견도도 로비 견도서 탄제 제기 말이스. 지대 생활을 되되 네 양다도 로바스라 그래스. 이 지대 생활을 되되 네 로바스 간데질에 세워서는 변나 다와니 나와다 지신지 존에 나와도서 지신지 존에 뜻서 로비 견도레스. 아니 지대 코로게 돈이 또 발마 되면 지대 코로게 로바이 바고 그래스. 아니 텔레진베 카도다 주다다 시트레데 네 지대 생활을 되되 네
So the difference, because the two moons, the reflection of two moons, appearance of the two moons, and the appearance of the two moons, or the appearance of the reflection of one's face in the mirrors, are said to be the mistaken conventional, in other words, and then conventionally mistaken, and that's and the sounds and object of form, sounds, and so forth are said to be non-mistaken conventionally.
Pena ngazu zunya ki tombe zuyo wa tena ki ngazu ki pena zunya la ta ta da zunya chi jishen zunya de zimba ro ngazu be ma zunya de jishen de zimba se gre zunya de jishen de zimba re da zunya de jishen ki tong ro wa tena ki ngazu zu de rang ki chen yi ju ban zimba re da zu de rang ki chen yi ju be tong ye chu go re es kare re sa na jishen ki tombe ma zunya ki tombe jishen do wa So
it's just as the reflections of one's face in the mirrors is not actual face, although it appears to you as one's face, but it is lack of face. It is completely, it's not a face. That it's not accurate to say this is a face. The reflection of face is the face, right? Although it appears to one's in the mirror appears to oneself as an actual face, but this is not, however. And similarly, the form here, so the form appears to oneself as a form, but not also as a form, but it appears to oneself as it exists by its own side. The form appears to us as exists by its own side or in and of itself. However, if we analyze the actual reality of this form, it doesn't exist in this way, as it appears to one's consciousness.
단다 있잖아. 무슨 수지 이 간지 이유도 제가 야나야. 제나요. 랑게 천이 주고 여 시작. 비경 가서 시작원노는 소년의 샤비 걸로 소년의 지진이 시작된데 내가 나기래스.
So for us, up until now, whatever that appears to us, such as form and so forth, appears to us as we take it for granted as it appears to us, because it appears to us as having established it appears to us as a self-characteristic phenomenon. However, this is not so. Just as we look at ourselves in the mirrors, when we are seeing the reflection of our face in the mirrors, we think of that as one's own face. In the same manner, we are actually taking for granted of the form that appears to ourselves exists, self-characteristically.
당가서 가샤도 지금 제거야나. 아니 내 존예 피게 존예 통화데 이 존예든 젬바다 아니 랑게 랑게 천이 두번 젬바니 담바 집에장 아니 존예 주 많이 봐도 타녀도야 메바 나기 아니 랑게 천이 두번 타녀도야 요바스 면은 면녀는 젠젠녀스.
So when it comes to the actual identification of object of negations, it's a very similar to finding the object of negation, of seeing one's own reflection of one's face in the mirror, and the form being lack of non-inherent existence.
안테 임바 간르서는 중제래서 때는 중앙 존예다 자차라 소바 존제 지네 죄양 마리바다 뎀바나 나라지 홈볼라 소바 zudan senda tswala soba jonze jine denba nande ranjine mariba na denba nala namba tangje de minango deishira deda kanshi gyunzo de yang zunba ne gyunzo je denba mayino she hombola soba gyunzo denba joba ta zonyala soba gyunzo denba menjobi cheba mete to she jona lenje 대니까 탄이 시에발라 나원 자요 존야라 수반네 제데비 시에바 니제 줌바토베 제데 근조제 뎀바 민조 근조 뎀바 민조라 몬발라 소바 줌바이 장 대다 제데비 시에발라 데도 콘데치바 미니베 제데 근조제 뎀바 조고냐 대다 유 대니라 탄이 시에발라 되데 denzi teba zhendo yujeni jang tani bi sheba la de shiji lo ma lo teba yin no so.
So Chandraketu's explanation of the middle way commentary says some dependent irresidents such as reflection, echoes, and false and appears to be false, even to ignorance, something blue and other forms, as well as mind, feeling, etc., appears to be true. The final nature of things, that is emptiness, does not appear in a way to those who are ignorant. Therefore, that nature, emptiness, and whatever is false, even conventionally, are not conventional truth. So he thus makes the distinctions that blue and so forth are posited as a conventional truth, while reflections and such are not. If someone were to challenge these distinctions, how could we reply? This is what I think. Although forms and reflections are alike in appearing to conventional consciousness, even a worldly consciousness can know that reflections and such are false. Reflections and such are false. They are not posited as a truth for the world. That is for a conventional consciousness. Blue and such are falsities, but worldly consciousness cannot understand them as falsities. Hence, Chandrakirti posited them truth for the world, that is for conventional consciousness. It is thus possible to distinguish subject as true and false in terms of conventional consciousness. It is likewise possible to distinguish subject as accurate than inaccurate in terms of conventional consciousness.
Digi kesa karishi warsana zonye de jumbato wala zonye de zu yimba jumbato wala jeten batso ki dembato go de ta karsa go toni to go mare ese sheba de eni kunzo demba yimba to wala sheba de jumbato wala toni to ba hodo do gore ese nyanga de.
So now the difference here is when one be able to understand the reflections and so on are not truly existence, they are lack of true existence, that not necessarily the individual can have a realization of emptiness. Whereas mind and forms, blue and so forth, when the individual is able to ascertain those mind and forms and so on are lack of intrinsic existence, then such individual will be able to gain a realization of emptiness. So that's the difference.
Teaching also kesa kana sheba de dembaro sheba de teaching also yonda jene sheba de kenzo dembare tanda dembare na kenzo dembare la taone sheba de kenzo dembare ne sheba de zumbare wasana sheba de kari zumbare monere wasana zumbare kenzo dembase de lo kenzo bingwala dencha tana medewa insana kenzo zumbase la ta sheba de kenzo zumba thonala sheba de ne zumba thongo zumba iti ngone mare se taro ngone kare mare se na demba tuba ngone mare se. So
this lack of intrinsic existence and lack of inherent existence of the mind and so forth are not that is it is common to have a realization by the ordinary beings, because when one is able to understand the mind and so forth are the conventional truth, then one is able to understand that mind and so forth doesn't exist intrinsically or inherently. So therefore, their mere existence of conventionally, which entails that individual who have gained such realization will be able to gain the realization of emptiness.
La rangi ngun drupi rangshin ripen goba ne dendang de mirungwa tanya de shago la. Dendra yu tanya bi shengwa dene onbi sheba nang chuba yin la dele jen bi tanya bi sheba ne rangawa nang ne rangawa nang ju ngun ne chuba ma yin bi minga de pe na jite bi tanya la Melala yu, melala me ba jende, lala shibi tsi ji jang, yu bi lala tang, me bi lala ni, duen ji ba minjo ba jeno. Tenyang, ma chu ba ne je ten bi she ba ranga wala tuen, jo ge oma pe ma chu ba mende te. Je ten bi she pe den, alen je ten ni le den yin, she so son ba taro. Te ishe to oma pe te da chu ban jo ba Teta nao yu zunban joba minge te yu denpa jo na ne yeche chuban joba ndoba na gewa yino. Tanya to chio tanchi jima taba ndoba na tanya to zunba yin chan kyunzo denpa joba ne minge te. Mari ranshi drisha kyunzo te she sombi mari pe kyunzo te yu ngon denpa chio na la rangi ngon chuba ngoba kange. Ngon jabi kyunzo ba deyi ngon zunba ni minga yu shiro. Kyunzo doyang zunba de kyunzo denba mayi no she somba ni tani bi tseme zunba toba shayi. Tani to zunba yinba tsana sha mero ngon. Teta uman bese la. Wanya. Tiba dolo ane ngani ja sha
So, so if sensory consciousness is accurate in terms of conventional consciousness, so this contradicts its being mistaken conventionalness. Reply: there's a conventional in terms of which the sensory consciousness are mistaken when we say that they are mistaken conventionally. Then again, there is the conventional consciousness in relation to which those unimpaired sensory consciousness are posited as accurate. If these two were the same, then there would be the contradictions. However, as the two uses of conventional are distinct, what distinction is there? How are they distinct? Reason refutes the essential for the intrinsic existence of form and such. It cannot do this ultimately because nothing can be done ultimately in this system, which refutes ultimate existence. So it must be do it conventionally. For that kind of conventional consciousness, the sensory consciousness are mistaken. Apart from that, the sensory consciousness are mistaken as seen by the ordinary conventional consciousness. Thus, there is no contradiction. For example, it is like the worldly convention. Worldly conventions. Some are here, some are not there. The term some is the same, but no one supposes that the some who are here and some who are not here are the same. So also the non-mistaken quality of the sensory consciousness is posited in terms of an ordinary mistaken. It is like the statement by the Chandrakirti. Those are true for the world. Therefore, the Madhyama posited the sensory consciousness as mistaken. Nonetheless, it is not contradiction that this sensory consciousness posits their false object. Rather, if a true object were posited, it would be contradictory for us to claim that what was posited by the mistaken subject conventionally. We assert that all phenomena are like a magician solutions, are therefore false in conventional terms. Also,
Tanya Taya Zumba Yimba Tsang La Sha Mirongo Sotera.
no.
Peje Pejana this.
Also,
Kale Karavan this. Tangani other Jumanangani mess. And I'm Chitin over Guru Bozo, you must also read. The Lochile Shadin, teaching way in Zane. That's what the Digmar is.
so we'll have no class next week as we have a Bumsok, the Guru Padmasambhava's Pomsok had the TFM, which is very important puja ceremony held by the TFM once in a year, 3 days in a year. So which is important for me to go to attend what Rinpoche says.
그것도 치바야나 배치전도 dimbayanga 디자라서 말이야.
Dimba la Rinpoche.
그래서 말이야. 그래서 그 가서 비 캐나다인데요. 그 가수를 뭐 제가 샤지. 그 가수 때 여자 뉴스는
아까 임바던 근데 나와 심지.
어제는 초대 때 넣어서 보내요. 그때 대신 쓰려는 뭐 뭐여서 대대년도는 그것도 전화도 못 채내서.
까면 나의 제 멤버.
제면도서 아마 주폴을 때 라바든 규준 장은 정문을 이제 송제되는 데 대해서 양 초안을 대해서 여기 손지면 면도서. 호텔이야. 진도디 배제는 데만 보러서 그래서 그 로봇이 매번 가는 전화를 대체돼야 난 전화 대해서 내로 질러서 이게 레귤러 셔요. 대체디 진짜 demand는 배정 아주 초토서 말했습니다.
In July,
양커서 제린데 처벌이었어요.
in July will not have class because Rinpoche said he has to go to Canada, where one of the Rinpoche.
아주 너무 자치면 저 국가생기만 주포지 인나서도 보네. 배도자 찬들라다.
One of the Rinpoche from South India, from Kandan Monastery, is having a stroke, and he hasn't been able to give his Dharma teachings to his students for a very long time. So the center has requested Rinpoche to come there and resume. And then also they requested Rinpoche to perform some, fire rituals, or Jinsek or the fire rituals.
대체 다마도 대령 양 추선이 공화대 제제다. 내가 추선이 사비 교화 대체 안디송도 사비 교화는 쇼지도 메탈라 되네. 내가 이제 선진 당치게 되는 상추기 세제 바로 심부터라라. 제바도 신내라질레제 대가라 소소도 bel하던라질레제네. 영원에도 있는 손주주 가방모도 제도야. 내게 지전의 자원이 신의 버드는 주변에 아마 사단집에 신여로도서 너무하다 뭐니가 쳤다.
Let's dedicate our merits that we have accumulated while we are receiving teachings for two hours, as well as the merits that one may have accumulated in the past, future, and present. And so by means of all these merits, may I be able to establish bodhicitta in the mind of all sentient beings, and may all sentient being able to generate bodhicitta and the realization of the six perfections, including concentrations and special insights. May I and all sentient beings to be able to perfect those practices and to gain state of complete enlightenment.
Sanje Shindo Bide Bewayi Ndo Shino Jumbo Chewa Kundo Yangda Nama Remi Cheche Bela Nonshe Sadan Lanje Yede Razone Doje Changye Bo Nyundo Sho Yedan Guru Mire Na Bono Doyo Mi Dene Do Dene Soni Kada Yamba Kashi Sabani Lomi Mari Gedon Jawana Nandre Jaye Ombo Dadyoji Tema Sumbi Sero Gyondo Yang Jambe Yang Seviye Jizon 天别人波跟上能接触，年年周别接纳你接受，让给接人多别能接你，修正自然正月头给接，若月一直明白新鲜的。家业在我有人在着急，让我人间手给我叫，让我这边说的，念着情歌一让就我一，偏的天天在我心我手，世间叫人没用真的。列着上学那着准备讲，他的那着也那别的些，家也担保有人在救济，救济担保那个，再让更多家人我把也。朗当着我们就急，刚才的把出了去去去，随心住了就把的原则，多的能就到都出现去，大学将是有就去，就是那年过在老的去。能够听得说着结果的，路上天边这面上松节，落叶没晒到，年就节，靠着让人过夜心放松，别当的我马里永远的，我点在那作业。小别身体不练就气，小别抱怨其他情况多，更多生活这样的现的，越到更久就是那路线，给我的道当接受多么。对送前面叫我上学去，我刚那手多忙活的，大姐给月上我的面前，让我学学绕多忙的。呀，推荐，倒不是训练就。